Hey guys, it's me, good old K, even though my channel doesn't say it. Today I want to talk about a very interesting topic on a show that everyone seems to say they hate, but do they enjoy it? Let's see. So, Hazbin Hotel, everyone practically knows it at this point, took over the internet in 2024 and it did the same thing again in 2025. If you've been on the internet, more specifically X, then you see that it doesn't have the most positive people on the show. If you look at YouTube, there are hundreds and hundreds of videos talking about the show in detail. Most of them are criticisms at the show, most of them are typical stuff. Now, I like Hazbin Hotel, there's no questions asked. I mean, one of my videos, specifically shorts, was on Air Sans having Fox's voice. But anyways, I can admit, I do agree with most of the criticism and the critics on the show. I can see the flaws in the entire Helliverse, especially Hazbin Hotel. But I at least enjoy what Hazbin Hotel is. I can like it for what it is. But then there are just some people that just do this because it gives them money or something. Then you have critics that I just have to question, do you just dislike the show or do you just not like the creator at this point? And one of these critics is Mr.Booone. There's an extra O in there too. According to him, he is a nasally voiced degenerate film rat that wants to talk about animation and film. Now, if you take a look at his channel, you can see that he likes Smiling Friends a lot. Smiling Friends is like another show. It's probably all over the internet as well. Being an adult comedy, similar to Hazbin Hotel, but the premises are different. Anyway, I won't lie, I don't really watch Smiling Friends at all, so I don't have like the biggest opinions on it. But looking at this man's channel, geez, how many videos are gonna make the whole Smiling Friends did this thing better than Hazbin Hotel? Or so Hazbin Hotel fails at this. So, and here's how Smiling Friends does it better. And my favorite one of his videos being Vivziepop is a not so good creator in person, and I'm gonna go complain about her in this video. Like, it's just getting annoying. I'd be fine with it if it was like one video or two. Maybe you're pushing with 3, but he's done over 30 videos of the same topic. You have to ask, does he really care about the show or not? And that's what we're here to discuss with. Oh, and for the record, I don't know about another Shine comic video. I mean, he is saying some nonsense again, but what else is new? Anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do with Shine Comics. Maybe I'll make a 3rd video on him, who knows, but anyway, let's get back to Mr. Booone. When we look at the start of Boone's channel, you can see that he talks about some interesting things. It's pretty interesting. He even talked about Chainsaw Man. However, he started talking about Smiling Friends. And this seems to have an effect on his channel as he's gained small traction. And he talked more and more about Smiling Friends. First video on Hazbin Hotel was specifically on why has Smiling Friends loved and Hazbin Hotel. So you can see later on that, he doesn't really focus too much on Hazbin Hotel, although he does bring up how to not critique Hazbin Hotel, which is a pretty ironic video. Then you see him getting talking more and more about it, all while talking about Smiling Friends. He starts talking about other topics too. Honestly, when he's not talking about Hazbin Hotel, he does other content. I kind of wish he stick with his other content instead of just hate on Hazbin Hotel, but it's unfortunate, really. Along the way, you can see that he talks more and more about Hazbin Hotel, all while keeping Smiling Friends. And then he drops more bombshells of videos, as you can see here. And as we can see here, later in 2025, he started talking about it more, which is, you can definitely tell how he now makes the channel more focused on Hazbin Hotel content and talking about Vivziepop. He even talked about Knights of Guinevere for a brief bit, saying, make it great. It's an interesting thing, and I can kind of agree with that. But dog, what is that thumbnail? Why is Edith throwing it back though? Anyway, but throughout 2025, aside from talking about Vivziepop, he did talk about some interesting things, which, I wonder again, why is he not talking about this stuff and less about Vivziepop? But late into 2025, you could just tell this man just started becoming a content form of Vivziepop hate, Hazbin Hotel hate, etc. And less about his own stuff. This man is a Smiling Friends content form as well. It's sad. He does talk about other things, but that's rare now. Now he has to bring up Vivziepop's name. A monopoly is the exclusive possession or control of supply or trade in a commodity or service. Or in simple terms, if a company has exclusive control over a product or service in a market, meaning there's no competition, allowing them to get set prices and control supply. This basically means that there is no competition and the company can benefit from this single product and control it however it wants. This can't be the case for Hazbin or Helliverse because, well, these two are not indie, and they are practically owned by Prime Video, a big corporation. And it's in his 3rd show, the Homestuck pilot, it's not even, they haven't done much with it yet. It just got a pilot. I don't know why Mr. Boone's insisting that Spindlehorse has a hold over it. Just because Hell of a Boss was indie and it became pretty popular does not mean Spindlehorse. I mean, Hell of a Boss was not the only thing we saw airing. Like, you can't forget Glitch Productions. Like, if anything, I'll call Glitch like more of a monopoly. Glitch, it by all means is no definition of a monopoly. I want to clear that up. I don't know what he's talking about. Spindlehorse creates and produces animations for Prime Video, who has now owned Hell of a Boss and Hazbin Hotel. So those can't even qualify for the indie market. And the whole point of being indie is that you're not by corporations or anything. It comes from money that, you know, is given to you by fancy your work, your own funding. So I don't know what Boon is on about with this. So this whole thing about Spindlehorse destroying, reign over, or it's a monopoly, as he likes to call it. Information makes no sense, and if you just think about it for like 5 seconds, you realize just how dumb this argument is. Like, I mean, come on. If you said Glitch had a monopoly over indie animation, I still wouldn't believe you. There is no monopolization of the indie market, because that defeats the whole purpose of being indie. You know, not get funding from big corporations. And there was no competition. Like, people were still watching other indie stuff. Like, you're telling me you're going to ignore Murder Drones, Meta Runner? Bottom line is, this argument makes no sense. I'm tired of reciting the same thing. This guy just makes empty critiques on things that just doesn't make any sense. And this is another point I want to talk about. This is the next section.
Got bills to pay, but honestly, I do have a goal when I make these videos.
As you can hear from that clip, he basically says, I have a goal when making these videos, which I just have to laugh at, because his goal is just so he can get money. Like, let's look at some of these comments, okay? For starters, he has this video saying, I'm tired of defending the Hellverse in Vivziepop. What defense have you ever given Vivziepop aside from literal flack? Like, I can look at your channel and some of your videos, and I do not see you giving defense to anything. So you can claim that you're not a Vivziepop hater. That's just the thing you see, a recurrent theme. He says, I don't hate Vivziepop. But yet, when you check his channel, you have to be like, okay, do you not like her? Like, dude, can you just try something new? Like, instead of dunking on Vivziepop all the time? You can't just say, I don't hate Vivziepop, but then have videos like this. Make it make sense. I mean, we can see in these comments here, like, this one right here. You have never defended the Helliverse. You're an infamous hater. I agree with that. Oh, and defending, bro, since when? Don't try spinning this narrative that you're suddenly a good guy and you don't hate Vivzie and you're just trying to give constructive criticism. You have never defended Vivzie or the Helliverse. Stop acting like that. These comments practically say what I'm thinking too. So far, to call him a grifter, this comment right here practically tells us everything. You would think if the comments call him out on his constant use of Vivziepop, you would think, you know what, maybe I should change my ways or maybe listen to criticism. It is so ironic you want to talk about other people, including Vivzie, about her work, but when people criticize you on your work, you just actively ignore it and act like nothing's wrong. And then when you respond, you just be like, oh, well, thanks for the engagement. Or, hey, I'm not hating on Vivzie. Who says I'm a hater? Brother, you are quite literally hating on her work constantly, just for views and money. Stop it. I also wanted to talk about this comment right here because it's so freaking funny, because they use a Hazbin Hotel quote from a song. That's just crazy. Now, before we come to an end, I want to address a couple things. One of them has to be his thumbnail style, because my God, it is so repetitive. It always has to involve something with Vivziepop. I mean, we already talked about him in his session with Vivziepop, but basically, it either has art of her or just an actual image, along with Zach Hadel title for his Zach Hadel and Vivziepop reviews, constantly comparing them, and he's me writing Zach, and just a reference in there to something. I don't know why he likes including those. But also, just to emphasize who is loved and hated, the love title is always in green and the hate title is always in red. It's not interesting, it's just repetitive, man. So the 3 things I can always point out to know what it is. Loved or hated, it's always got to be green and red, just to emphasize that, you know what? This is totally who's loved and hated. It always has to feature his little character, aside from the art and stuff. He has a little character, you know, the guy with the beanie and the stubble. And it has to have the smiling friend or Hazbin Hotel characters acting, just being in very ridiculous poses. He is just very repetitive with his thumbnails, and he has nothing going on for them. They're all just suck, all right? It's not good. And for my final point about Mr. Boone and how he operates, I want to talk about a recent video he did Specifically, why Smiling Friends' Mr. Frog redemption hit so much harder than Hazbin Hotel's video. In that video, he tries to explain why Mr. Frog's arc of, supposedly being redeemed, and how it was much better than Hazbin Hotel's attempt at redeeming someone like Sir Pentious. And I have to say, just what is he talking about in this video? Did he even watch Hazbin Hotel, or just saw the episode in which Mr. Frog got redeemed? Because I watched the episode, and I'm not a huge Smiling Friends fan. I made that clear, but I watched that too, and I'm like, he wasn't redeemed. He just found inner peace. So what is Boon talking about? Like, he got redeemed and he was forgiven for what he's done. Mr. Frog didn't face any of that. He literally just turned to a normal frog at the end. I don't know how that equals redemption. He just found inner peace. So yeah, I don't know what he's on about with this whole thing. I mean, hell, the comments even say Mr. Frog was not redeemed. He just found inner peace. And I'm gonna say this. At least Hazbin Hotel did show that Sir Pentious got redemption and character development throughout season 1. And yes, I can agree that they could have focused more on that, but at the end of the day, at least he was a changed character and better to warrant going to heaven. So I'll give him that. At least we actually see his redemption and how he changes throughout the season. So I say that is worthy of redemption, but I don't know why he's talking about Mr. Frog being redeemed when he was quite literally wasn't. In conclusion, I said all I can about Mr. Boone. He's practically everything I dislike in a Hazbin Hotel critic. And no, I don't dislike a critic that, has actual criticism. Again, Hazbin Hotel is not free from criticism. No show is, alright? My problem is with these critics that they go way too far, hate on Vivzie just because the internet does not like her, and knows it'll get them views and money. It gets annoying, and it just straight up makes you question your position as a critic. Because if you're relying on slandering her name constantly just so you can have views, then yeah, I can't take you seriously anymore. He has potential, and I feel like he can do more. But yeah, his videos are just repetitive and annoying. And I do want to clarify, I don't hate Mr. Boone or I have any ill will towards him. That's not what this video is about. So please do not send any hate to Mr. Boone just because of this video, alright? I only made this video because I want to air my frustrations out. Especially since he represents all the critics that hate on Vivzie rather than just Hazbin Hotel. Honestly, I could take someone like Sarcastic Course seriously because, he actually seems to talk about the show and give criticism towards the show and its ideals, and he doesn't just blindly hate on Vivzie. Actually gives genuine criticism without being too much of a dick, which is, I can't say the same about these other critics though. There are good criticisms, and, I do like Hazbin Hotel. Although its fandom and its hate-them can be a bit too much, I still do have hope in the series, and I still will like it. And I'm still listening to the songs, alright? No one can deny they are bangers. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. And I just crossed this off my list. I don't know if I'm going to do another video about Mr. Boone. Hopefully I won't. Till then, bye.